Good afternoon. This is Matt Van Wagner reporting live from SES New York, where we've just finished up a fascinating panel on pay-for-performance advertising models. And joining me are two of our panelists, Tom Cuthbert from ClickForensics and Brian Klais from Netconcepts. And guys, I thought it went very well. And I'm just curious, Tom, what was a good takeaway for you from this panel?
Well, there were a couple things. It was really clear to me, Matt, that there's a lot of interest in changing compensation models. So the economy has driven the market into a place that it hasn't been for quite some time. But at the same time, there's a lot of benefits, a lot of strengths in digital media. And so finding ways to leverage those strengths to move them into new compensation models that are both productive for the advertiser and profitable for the agency has been a really interesting discussion. A lot of great takeaways today.
Yeah, I agree with that. There were some good data and some good concepts. And how about for you, Brian?
Well, I agree. There were a lot of agencies in attendance, and there seems to be quite a lot of interest in SEO practitioners getting paid what they're worth. There was some discussion on paid search, but it was predominantly SEO, structuring SEO contracts and either revenue share or cost per click or hybrid sorts of models, but it was great to see that kind of dialogue happening. It's an important subject, and I'm pleased to be a part of the panel.
Well, we had some interesting questions that came up, and some of the questions seemed to me to be directed a little bit towards uncertainty about implementing the model from the agency side. And so from your perspective, if you're an agency and you want to do this, what's the biggest issue you think that you should pay attention to in developing a good relationship and a good contract?
Well, you need to establish great trust with the client. Clearly, any of the terms that you come up with, whether it's a revenue share, whether it's a hybrid, whether it's a cost per click model, they're going to be governed by the relationship that you've got with the client. And we've seen contracts structured that have ended very badly for the agency because they didn't have that trust or they didn't have the great rapport. And when it comes to sharing things like your analytics and your performance and the integrity of, well, did we actually drive that click or that sale or not, you've got to have the trust. But then the second thing is having the execution capabilities. So one of the key issues that we've seen bite agencies over and over again while they have a good aspiration of creating a performance-based economic model, if they can't execute or if the client is preventing the agency from executing the tactics that will really drive performance, then that too can really hurt and often does hurt the agency most.
Well, that's a great answer, and you brought up a good point that I want to explore with Tom a little bit. You spoke with the top CEOs of a lot of digital agencies, but also some big advertisers. From the advertiser standpoint, do you think that people are more leery or more willing, especially in this economy, to move towards performance-based?
Well, I think they're more willing, and part of the reason for that is that traditional media has long been known as not being able to be measured effectively. Right. So it's a huge draw. It's a great strength of the digital world that measurement is a main focus of that. Measurement matters. In fact, was the talk of that I gave today was really kind of focused on that. And so leveraging those things has caused them to be more willing to consider that. Now, what's pushed against it, however, are a lot of agencies that are kind of trying to live in the old world, not willing to consider these changes. But it really is an opportunity for us. It's an opportunity for advertisers to move more and more money online if agencies are willing to work with them and SEO and SEM providers to come up with specific kind of new off-the-book way of doing things. And I think that's definitely happening. That's what I heard when I spoke to folks.
Well, thank you. I want to thank you both for joining us today and a great panel. And I guess at the end of the day, if we can set up the right pay-for-performance campaigns, it can be a win-win for the advertiser and the agency as well. So reporting live from SES New York, this is Matt Van Wagner.